Hello, hello. Hello and welcome to the Gran Turismo World Series 2024 finals, coming to you live from Amsterdam. Yes, this is what we love to hear. It has been an incredible 2024 season, and these are the very, very last races of our calendar. All of our drivers have fought incredibly hard to be in the best possible position to be here this weekend just for you. So today is the Toyota GAZOO Racing GT Cup, and we are joined by a very special guest, the legend Kobayashi-san. Give a round of applause. We're going to be talking to Kobayashi-san a little bit later on. Now, if you're wondering a little bit how it's going to break down this weekend, so of course we've got the TGR GT Cup today. Later on, we'll be having the Manufacturers Cup. And then, of course, tomorrow is the big one. We've got the Nations Cup, which is going to be also incredible. Now, of course, today is the TGR GT Cup. So why don't we take a little bit of a look about how that competition format is going to break down. Here's how the TGR GT Cup breaks down. The TGR GT Cup features 24 drivers, 21 from the 2024 online series and 3 local competition winners. Qualifying is split into 2 groups, with each driver setting 1 lap attack. Drivers are placed in the semi-final groups A and B in an A-B-A-B order based on their qualifying times. This qualifying order also sets the grid order for the semi-final. The top 6 drivers from each semi-final advance to the Grand Final. Grand Final grid position is based on the semi-final results, with Group A filling the odd-numbered spots and pole position. The Grand Final race will determine the 2024 TGR GT Cup champion. Everyone is extremely excited for this one, and we had our qualifiers a little bit earlier on, so why don't we go over to Tom and Jimmy as they're going to break it down for you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jules. Great to be here, back at the GT desk for, I want to say the final time this year, because we've got another few shows to go here this weekend. But, you know, one of the final times this year, and what a year it's been, Jimmy. I mean, you know, not only in the manufacturers in the Nations Cup, behind the scenes, the lads in the Toyota GT Cup have been plugging away.
Yeah, I mean, almost anonymously, really. I mean, obviously, we know this competition's been going on for quite a while, but it takes a long time to get to a point where you can actually be here competing in the grand final. But the year's flown by, mate. I don't know where the time's gone.
It has. So we've got 24 drivers taking part in the GRGT Cup. This is qualifying, which took place earlier on today. You can see the first group of 12 drivers out on track. This is at Road Atlanta in the Super Formula car. Coque Lopez going top of the pile at this point. Paul Ura, his compatriot, soon bettered him. And keep an eye out for this man here. This is Santos, the Frenchman, going to the top of the pile. Fantastic job from the youngster. However, there were laps coming through here, Jimmy, thick and fast.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of new names here, including Aluni and Santos, both going 1 and 2 right now. See Aluni very, very happy with that. But it was Rama who actually, in the end, set the fastest lap of anyone. An amazing lap time from the Indonesian driver. You see what it means to him, 101.8 in that session.
Yeah, amazing job there from him. This was Struik as well, the Australian driver, likewise making his debut in the GT World Series. On board here with Guy Barbara, who made a mistake in qualifying, and look at what it meant to him. He got a penalty. That meant his lap time was disallowed, and he was so frustrated, completely understandably so. There is a lot at stake here for this weekend, and you need to get your weekend off to a promising start. That's what Guy Barbara was not able to do, unlike this man. This is Rama, Andika Rama Manluda, the Indonesian driver, who put in an absolutely stonking performance to go and put it to the top of the pile. You can see Santos there in second position, so he heads semi-final B, because essentially we split it. Odd numbers go into semi-final A, even numbers go through into semi-final B, so very much looking forward to seeing how we're going to get on. You can see the rest of the drivers on your screen here as well. Just a couple of points down there. You've got Ashino and Etemezion. They were not able to set qualifying lap times. Etemezion is a substitute driver, late entry in for this weekend, and Ashino unfortunately missed his flight yesterday, so he got here quite late, wasn't able to take part in qualifying.
Yeah, I mean, that's just part of the game, really. You've got to be there to show up, but unfortunately out of his hands. But it can happen, but they're still in it. They just got to do a bit more work.
Absolutely. Right, let's have a look at semi-final A then, because we're here. What a track this is. Interlagos, Sao Paulo. I love this circuit. You'll be hard-pushed to find a driver who doesn't love this circuit. You can see here, anti-clockwise, 1 lap time attack for the semi-final. Sorry, I should say 12-lap race taking place for the semi-final coming up here. And the top 6 from this group will go through into the grand final, Jimmy.
Yeah, super fun circuit, super technical as well. That middle sector, oh my word, I can't tell you how many times I've ruined my lap going through that part of the course. But in these cars, these super Formula cars, very, very easy just to lock a tyre, inside tyre into the heavy braking zone. So our competitors will be very, very careful to monitor that brake. There it is, the car, of course. Massive power, weighs pretty much nothing, loads of aero. I love me a super Formula car. I think they're absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, can't wait to see what the driver's going to be able to do. Of course, they've had an idea of what it's like when we got into qualifying, but under racing conditions, a new circuit, that's going to be a completely different kettle of fish, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. We say it a lot. A lot of these lads haven't been to one of these events before, so suddenly they've got a whole crowd of rowdy Dutch people behind them, cheering them on. So it could be a bit of a game changer for some of our guys out there. But, you know, these are the best in the world. They're here for a reason, so all my faith.
And speaking of game changers as well, we've not only got game changers here for our competitors, game changers for you at home as well. Gran Turismo, of course, is here this weekend. We've got loads of racing coming up for you. Manufacturers Nations Cup, and of course here tonight with the GRGT Cup for Toyota as well. And we've got a great campaign running all weekend long. Have a look at this and see what we've got going.
Dive into the action from inside Gran Turismo 7 with the World Series bonus campaign. Click the Predict the Winners campaign banner on the GT7 world map for the chance to win 1 million credits for each championship by simply predicting who will win. Think of all the amazing cars and upgrades you could snag with that. Don't wait too long, entries close right before the start of each grand final. Want more prizes? Watch the World Series broadcast in your GT7 game to unlock free in-game rewards. Catch the Toyota TGR Cup in-game and claim a 6-star roulette ticket. Who knows what prizes could be yours? Make sure you don't miss out. This holiday season, GT7 is bringing something very special just for you. 2 exclusive holiday campaigns will run from December 15th to January 5th, offering a variety of festive in-game rewards simply for logging in. Don't miss this limited time event. It's our way of celebrating the holidays with you. I think one of the downsides, actually the only downside of hosting this, is that we don't get all those cool in-game rewards. Okay, guys, it is now time. Are you ready to kick off this TGR GT Cup? Let's hear it. We're going to kick off now into semi-final A. Let's go. Let's hear it.
So here we are then, ready to go for semi-final A of the Toyota GR-GT Cup then. Drivers going to be on track in a few moments' time. We're looking forward to seeing what is going to happen here. Super Formula cars and a standing start at Interlagos as well. And here is how the grid lines up for the first race. 12 of the drivers on the grid, only 6 will go through, just to remind you as well. And it's a short run down to the first corner. Rama, the Indonesian, stuck it on pole position. And he's got Daniele Aluni, the young Italian hotshot, alongside him. Jose Serrano heads row 2. The Spaniard with his compatriot Coque Lopez for company alongside. Row 3, that's Takuma Sasaki. Let's see what the Japanese driver can do. He's got Marco Busnelli, who returns in the GR-GT Cup here today. Trent Jeffrey very quick in the online regional finals. Can he convert that into a strong result here tonight with Lucas Bonelli, the hometown hero for company? Then Hayashi, the Japanese driver, in 9th place, with Tapai rounding out the top 10. 11th on the grid is Ryota Kokoban. Didn't manage to get a particularly strong lap time in qualifying. And Ishino starting from the back of the field. Let's see what will happen then. Wait for 5 red lights to come off. It's time for a samba in Sao Paulo. 5 red lights on. Lights out, we're underway. Rama gets away well. Not a good start for Aluni though. And look at Jose Serrano and Coque Lopez coming through on the inside, down towards turn 1. Serrano fights his way through on Rama. And Lopez, is he going to manage to join in the party as well? Sasaki now on the outside of the Spaniard for 3rd place as they come through turn 3 on the run. Down the Retroposta for the first time. Coque Lopez in 3rd. His compatriot Jose Serrano leading. But Lopez trying to make it a Spanish 1-2 into turn 4 up the inside and through into second.
Yeah, the Spanish drivers stamping their intention down early. Serrano and Lopez, great starts to them, both up 2 places apiece. Conversely there, Looney down 2 places and Rama. So bad starts there from our front row, but still all getting through in 1 piece. We now head into that very tricky middle sector for the first time. Sasaki is trying the long way around the outside. Usually doesn't work, but it does this time. Past Rama, an awful first lap from Rama, from pole position all the way down to 7th now as Benelli finds his way through.
Not ideal at all there for him. Trent Jeffrey also not making a particularly brilliant getaway. He's down into 12th position, up through into the left-hander we go. So we've got a Spanish 1-2 at the front, an Italian 3-4 with Aluni and Busnelli sitting on the fringes of the podium, with Busnelli closely followed by Takuma Sasaki. At the end of lap 1, though, there is Rama, the man who started on pole position. He's down in 7th place. As Jimmy said, we come across the timing line down towards the first corner, and Busnelli looking on his compatriot Aluni into the first turn and manages to make the move stick. So he is now up through and into 3rd place. Pretty important there if he wants to get onto the back of the top 2, because they've already pulled out a gap of 1.1 seconds.
Yeah, 2 Spanish drivers out front, 2 Italian drivers 3rd and 4th. Sasaki in 5th, trying to break into that top 4, following the draft down towards this left-hander here. And I think this is just experience, Tom. Serrano and Lopez have been around a lot of these events, and Rama and Ludi not so much. So really just showing that aggression early on is the way, especially in these sprint races, especially in these Super Formula cars.
Yeah, it really is the name of the game. Busnelli there, a bit tight on the apex. That's compromised him. It's running wide a little bit and now leaves him under threat, possibly from Aluni here as well. Let's see whether the Italian can make a move on his countryman then. Through into the right-hander we go. These series of corners, they never seem to end, but they link up so beautifully. You can see the camber here with this gyroscopic viewpoint, giving a real indication of the elevation. There is Takuma Sasaki, the Japanese driver who we ride on board with inside the top 5. And look at it, it's a train of cars being led here by Busnelli. You can guarantee that some drivers are going to be thinking about making a move, but who is going to launch it into T1?
Well, here comes Aluni into the draft of Busnelli. Sasaki there looking a little bit impatient behind. Busnelli goes defensive to the inside just to try to cover off any movement behind. Benelli there opens the door where it wasn't open. He's now side by side with Sasaki, but has to give up the corner. Aluni there with a mistake. That's going to slow him down now, and that's a terrible place to make a mistake onto this straight. He'll be vulnerable from Sasaki and the train behind. Here we go, down towards the bottom corner, and Benelli almost runs into the back of Sasaki, but all this fighting, you can tell, I think, before this, the Spanish drivers had a word with each other, said, right, let's just break away, get away from his pack.
Benelli, Busnelli then, and Aluni side by side in towards turn 5 and 6, then through this right-hander we go, and Sasaki having a look and trying to open the door on the inside. Bit of contact between himself and Aluni. The stewards will be having a look at that, but there's contact at the next turn. Aluni repays the favour, tries to get back through into 4th place with side by side. Benelli looking for a move on the inside, and bang! Straight into the back of Sasaki. 2 places for the price of 1, but surely there's got to be a penalty incoming if he doesn't give those positions back.
That's one way of doing it. It's not the right way, but it is one way of doing it. Here comes Rama now, back after a poor start up the inside of Sasaki. Making the best of a bad situation is Rama. On board now, Sasaki, who's gone down from 5th to 7th place, and Aluni given a 1-second penalty for some contact earlier on. Will we see a penalty for Benelli as well? We have to. We have to surely see one, Tom.
You would imagine so. Let's have a look, wait and see what those stewards decide then. Down into the first corner we go. Moves being made there. Kokuman, Sasaki and Hayashi, the 3 Japanese compatriots, all sitting in 7th, 8th and 9th, and now 10th place, because Ashino's managed to make his way up through as well. The youngster Ashino, he is just 14 years old. Koki Ashino making his debut, competes in real-life motorsport as well. Let's see what he can do here tonight. Top 6 drivers in this event, just to remind you, will go through into the grand final. If you're 7th and down, you go no further.
So right now, that means Rama is basically hanging on for dear life in P6. He's got a bit of a gap to Kokuman behind him, who uncharacteristic bad qualifying from Kokuman.
Oh, wait a minute. That was Aluni, I think.
Big moment there for Aluni, just getting the car a little bit sideways. So here's a replay of the start. Here's Aluni's start, just a terrible start. And then watch the Spanish driver, Serrano, already up on the inside there of Aluni, makes the move fantastically. Koke Lopez also there as well. There was contact, though, between him and Rama. Not anything to write home about, but he's in the draft from there, and as we know, made the move down at the bottom corner. But great start from the Spanish drivers.
It almost looked like Rami missed the start there, because he just sort of almost didn't get away when the lights went out for the rest of the drivers. They are under a false start, so essentially they have to hold it on the brakes and then plant their foot on the throttle. And maybe he just misjudged it compared to some of the other drivers. Let's have a look at this. Down to the first corner. Benelli there, 2-second penalty. No surprise at all. He's on the inside of Rama, who's managed to elevate his way up into 4th place. Kokuman now trying to get round the outside of Benelli in towards into turn 2. Through the centre S we go, and this is going to be good for the Japanese driver because he might be able to make some positions here. It'll all be in vain though, because he'll serve that 2-second penalty next time he comes around to the zone. Into turn 4, the positions stay as they are, but Benelli impatient and trying to make up ground. Unfortunately, it's cost him a possibility, I would imagine, at getting into the grand final.
Yeah, that penalty is huge. I don't think we'll see him in the grand final now. 2 seconds. It isn't just 2 seconds, it's the slowing down and speeding up again. And the penalty line is up the top of the hill, wasn't it? So that's going to be a huge, huge penalty there for Benelli. And as you can see, it'll take him outside the top 6 where he needs to be to go into the grand final. So bad luck for Benelli.
Yeah, that is the cut-off point. Meanwhile, further back, you can see Aluni, who's had a bit of a race of 2 halves. Started off really strongly. He's now down into 10th place, courtesy of that penalty that he suffered this lap, and he's now in the clutches of Koki Ashino. This is where the penalty will be served then for Lucas Benelli, and let's see what it's going to do in terms of position loss time. I think he'll just manage to finish ahead of Aluni. Oh, he's picked up another 1-second penalty there for Benelli. It does go from bad to worse for the 35-year-old Brazilian, and he now drops down onto the fringes of the top 10.
Yeah, real shame for him, but rules are rules. You can't be punting people, no matter how fun or entertaining it might be.
You can't lunge, though.
Speaking of, yeah, Hayashi, where did he come from?
Whoa! Contact into turn 2. Hayashi and Sasaki come together, and Hayashi sent spinning around like a tabletop, and sadly out of contention for position. I should imagine, again, the stewards are probably going to have a look at that. It was a bit of an aggressive lunge from Hayashi in the first place, and, well, unfortunately, 2 into 1 does not go, and the stewards are being kept very busy in this opening race.
Yeah, Sasaki Base said, no, you don't, sunshine, and that was that. I'm not sure that was on, well, we'll see. We'll watch it when it comes, but not ideal for Hayashi. But that does give Aluni a little bit of a break. He's now up to P8, very slowly building his way back up towards that top 6. And he started P2 in this race, so as you say, horrible for him. Trent Jeffrey also getting a penalty, though it won't affect his position too much. We'll just take him further down outside of the top 6.
Yeah, see what happens there for Trent Jeffrey. A lot of other penalties being served in this race, and I'm sure it's far from over. Meanwhile, at the front, we've only mentioned Jose Serrano. He's pulled out 7/10 of a second over Koke Lopez. They're having something of a quiet race. See Busnelli and then Kokeman in 4th position here as well.
Yeah, 5 seconds between 3rd place and the top 2. They've definitely sat down before this race. Well, listen, like, we're in the same race. Let's get out front. Let's not fight each other, because we say it every time, but every time you fight someone into a corner, you're not taking the ideal line. You're going to be slower, and not doing that has really paid off for the Spanish drivers. So Rama up into P5. So I mean, the pace is there. I mean, evidently he's got that pace in the car, but just unfortunately had a terrible start. So here's a replay. I'm going to assume this is Hayashi in front, looking up the inside of Sasaki. The contact's there, and then they just get locked together there, don't they? I mean, Sasaki for me is as far over as he can go. The thing,
that's the thing, is the gap on the inside probably wasn't there. He was always going to have to use him as a buffer to stop. So no further action there. The stewards have deemed it as a racing incident. I mean, to be fair, they both gave each other as good as they got, really, didn't they?
Well, so that usually translates to me as you did that to yourself. Yeah. Like, deal with it, you know. There you go. Sasaki there, just on the fringes of qualification for that grand final. Reminder, top 6 go through. Bottom 6 play no further part in this competition. Currently, that's Serrano, Lopez, Busnelli, Kokeman, Rama, and Sasaki going through. So, although it is still close for that last position.
Possibility here of opportunity for Adam Tapai as well, because Aluni and Ashino, who we now ride on board with, are very close to one another. If they start into squabbling with one another, that could give Tapai, the Hungarian, a bit of breathing space. Aluni goes defensive as Ashino has to lift off, even down in towards the first corner. Very, very close, but you can see Tapai and Sasaki in front closing up onto one another.
That was a super mature move. He doesn't want to have a fight. He wants to close up on the cars in front. Let's see if it's the same here or not.
Yeah, Aluni made a little bit of a mistake actually through turn 3, just got it a little bit wide onto the curb there, but you can see Ashino just biding his time here, isn't he?
Just lifting out of it. I think he knows, it's what we said earlier, as long as they're all going forward in the right direction, not dipping and diving, trying to avoid each other, they're all going to be pushing forward towards 6. There's no point fighting over 8th place. It doesn't matter. You're still going to be out. You're trying to catch the guys in 6. So for, again, our youngest competitor here, only 14 years old, but very wise head on his shoulders.
Meanwhile, Ross Kokeman and Marco Busnelli, 3rd and 4th place for those drivers respectively. It might not sound like a lot. Oh, there's a lunge on the inside as well. I think it's between Ashino and Aluni. Ashino trying to get the better of the Italian driver. Meanwhile, this battle for 3rd place, I have to say, quite interesting, not only in terms of what's happening on track, but also their grid positions for the grand final. The further up you finish, the higher up the grid you will start if you finish inside the top 6.
If you're Kokeman having an amazing race, he's up 8 positions from his starting position. So just go, I mean, this is, again, one of the most experienced drivers we have in the the competition. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to run one of the races here, what to expect. And he's always been someone to look out for. And anything, I think he's actually starting to pull away from Busnelli when he's not being towed down the straight.
Ashino and Aluni still exchanging positions. Lap 9 out of 12. We're on then as we come on the run down into turn 4. Let's have a look at a replay here between Cockburn and Busnelli. See how the Japanese driver got third place away from the Italians. And down the start-finish straight we go. Easy as you like in the slipstream, side by side. Beautiful bit of driving there from Jos Cockburn. And respect also from Busnelli.
Yeah, I mean, they just don't want to fight too much. They don't want to push themselves back into the rest of the pack. And Aluni now starting to get some penalties. I mean, like, it's been a very, very frantic race from the Italian driver. Lots of mistakes so far from him, but again, it's the first time at these other events. It really does make a difference having a crowd behind you. So a lesson to be learned here for Aluni for sure.
So Serrano still leading the way, 6/10 of a second the gap between himself and Coque Lopez. Cockburn in third. Then further back you've got here closing up onto the back. The problem for him is that Sasaki in front is also having that hole in the air punched in front of him here, and he's got the slipstream, whereas Rama does not. You can see Sasaki is now closing up onto the back of the Indonesian driver, pulls to the outside as we come across the timing line down into the first corner. He's going to be later on the brakes and sweeps his way around the outside. The door's kind of half ajar there for Rama, but Sasaki goes through and up inside the top 5.
You see that red light there on top of the air intake base signifies there's no more push to pass left for Rama, so he's used all his extra speed basically at this point, so he has to now defend for just over 2 laps from a hard charging Adam Depai and Benelli, who's come back through the field after his penalty. So if Benelli manages to catch Rama and get back through, that would be an amazing comeback for the Brazilian driver, but he is rapidly running out of laps.
On board with Rama then. The problem for these two drivers, if they start squabbling amongst one another, it will bring them back into the clutches of the likes of Tapai and Benelli, etc. So they've got to be pretty careful about how they play this. We saw good gamesmanship from Ashino and Aluni earlier on, trying to use tactics to their advantage in this sprint race.
They're both catching. Tapai and Benelli are really catching Rama right now. He's struggling through that middle sector. He's going to have to hope Sasaki is close enough to give him a tow. He is for now, but I think Sasaki seems to be a lot faster at this stage, is able to put away. And for Rama, that's going to be just a nightmare. He needs a tow to stay away from Tapai and Benelli behind him. So it's about to really hot up for this last qualification spot for the grand final here.
So 2 laps to go then here at Interlagos. Down in towards the first corner we go, riding on board here with Rama. Benelli and Tapai exchanging places. Now the Brazilian driver ahead briefly and moving his way up into 7th place, but I think there was a bit of contact possibly because Ashino's gone through and up into 7th position. Meanwhile, further up you've got Cockburn and Busnelli close to one another out on track. This is for the final podium place. I want to have a look at that battle going on further down the field though, because this could be pretty critical in terms of who is going to make it through into the grand final. Up over the rise we go here. Cockburn a little bit wide onto the curb there, but Busnelli not close enough to pounce at the moment.
I mean, that might have just saved Rama, to be honest, because but that move there has held them all up massively, giving them about a 3-4 tenths buffer to what he had last lap, and Rama now probably breathing a sigh of relief, but it's not over, especially here, Cockburn versus Busnelli. They're both going through to the final currently, but if Busnelli can get by, it will improve his qualifying starting position in the final race. So coming on to the last lap here, Serrano and Lopez crossing the line together. Will Lopez now have a go at Serrano, do you think? It's on the last lap, they're both through at this point. Do they fight, or do they just get through to the final?
The gap has been coming down, so Lopez is about a 10.5 quicker than Serrano last time around. It's about 0.3 of a second between the top 2, so we'll keep an eye and see whether Lopez is going to make a move for position when that time comes. Here we go then, down in towards turn 4, and you can see Serrano Lopez close to one another. Nose to tail action between the top 2 Spaniards as we come up in towards turn 5. Through into that right-hander. Serrano just soaking up that pressure quite nicely, not parking his car, he doesn't need to. Lopez also not attacking at the moment, but certainly closing into the heavy braking zones.
All he's got to do is wait until he's coming out of the last corner. If he's close enough there, he can just easily draft. Focus on that last exit coming out of the middle sector. Serrano there, vastly different line to Lopez, but it gives him a better exit. That was nice there by Jose Serrano. Sacrificed the entry, mega exit, and has given himself a bit of breathing room towards the last corner. Serrano looking like he might, but he's gone wide there, Tom.
Yeah, Yeah, a little bit deep, hasn't he, coming through the penultimate corner. That could leave him under a bit of threat from Coque Lopez. Think he might be okay, though. Either way, it has been a quite brilliant demonstration from the two Spaniards as they take lights-to-flag victories then here at Sao Paulo. Serrano wins semi-final A in the Toyota GT Cup. Lopez in second, and Ryota Kokkonen is going to hold on surely for third place against Busnelli. It's a drag to the line between the two. Who gets it? Kokkonen by just 3/100ths of a second. Sasaki in fourth, and Rama does hold on to take sixth place in the final spot in the grand final. The youngster Ishino just misses out. Benelli also not managing to make it through here, as well as Tapai, Aluni, Jeffrey and Hayashi completing the top 12 finishers. Well, that was a dramatic race, and some of those drivers, as you can see, ended up in a bit of strife more than others. At the front, though, the top two, Jose Serrano, Coque Lopez, quite brilliant driving there, Jimmy.
Yeah, super impressive run by both those guys. That's experience there. These guys have known each other for a very long time. I can almost guarantee you that they thought about their strategy before the race, knew they had the speed and just wanted to push forward from there. So here are a couple of highlights there from the first race of the evening. It was a poor start there from Aluni on the front row, which allowed Jose Serrano and Coque Lopez to pounce early. Serrano up the inside of Rama at T1 into first place, where he would stay for the remainder of the race. Coque Lopez, his compatriot, following through down towards T4, and off went the Spaniards.
Yeah, this was Rama. You can see a bit of a disappointing first lap for the Indonesian driver. Meanwhile, it all kicked off in the mid-stages of this one. Aluni, Benelli, Sasaki all coming to blows with one another, courtesy of the Brazilian. He got a 2-second penalty for that, and then a further 1-second penalty a little bit later on. And you can see what it meant there for Daniele Aluni and how disappointed he was. We thought Benelli would be down and out, but he did have a late race charge and recovery from this one. We saw Kokkonen making a slow ascension through the field. We saw Hayashi and Sasaki coming to blows down at the center S as well, sending Hayashi out of contention for the grand final. Tapai, meanwhile, had a front row seat of the incident, and like candy from a baby, was able to go through. Well, so this is Kokkonen then, and Busnelli coming across the timing line. Kokkonen getting the better of the Italian driver for third place, which is where he would finish in that race. But Jose Serrano and Coque Lopez, they cleared off out in front at the start of this one as the drama unfolded behind them, and they were never to be seen again. Let's go down to Jules. She's catching up with our winner.
Yes, I'm joined with Jose Serrano. Jose, how was that?
It's so good.
Yeah? You look very comfortable.
Yeah, with this car is so good for me.
Yeah. So Tom and Jimmy were saying that you and Coque obviously had a conversation before, and you were like, let's get out in front, and then this is our... Did you have a conversation?
No.
See, Tom and Jimmy, you were wrong. You don't know everything. But it worked out okay, so both of you are at the front now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And who's your biggest competition? Is it your teammate, Paul, in the semi-final B, you think?
Yeah, Paul maybe win this semi-final, I think.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah? You don't mind a little bit?
No.
You want to race against him, don't you? That's fair enough. All right, well, we're going to let go and relax. We're going to chuck it back now to Tom and Jimmy to set up semi-final B.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jules. Let's have a look at the results from semi-final A then. Jose Serrano, Coque Lopez, your top two. Kokkonen, brilliant drive from, what was that? 11th place on the grid, up to third at the checkered flag, ahead of Busnelli, Sasaki and Rama. Those are the top six that go through. A shout out as well to Koki Yoshino, 14 years old, making his debut on the GT World stage, from last on the grid to 7th place, but also, Jimmy, crucially, setting the fastest lap.
Yeah, what could have been if we didn't miss his flight? What a shame. But here is our beautiful venue here at the Theatre Amsterdam. You can see we've got our awesome range of cars outside. Great to have a live audience here as well. GTWS I tried to take for a spin earlier, but a very, very scary man said no.
Yeah, he gave you a big stick, didn't he? And, yeah, I was looking. I found the key for it.
Did you?
I did. Yeah. I was, you know, when you just sort of sat there like contemplating your life choices. I'm like,
is this worth prison?
Anyway, what a brilliant semi-final A in the Toyota GAZOO Racing GT Cup. What about semi-final B though? More of the same, another sprint race, but a different circuit for the drivers, the Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, well, I mean, what a circuit for a race. I mean, pretty much characterized by these huge straights from T1 to T3, T3 to T4, and of course the start-finish straight, which means it is just the slipstreamer's dream through here. For that race, again, another standing start, and we saw how important that was in the first semi-final. Really, really easy just to get things a little bit wrong off the line there, and that can be your race over right there, right then.
Yeah, really short uphill run to that first corner, and a very tight first turn as well. When you've got 12 cars going side by side, or not necessarily all together at the same time.
Maybe 12 wide.
Well, hey, you never know.
That's good.
But yeah, it's something to consider, and I wonder how many drivers are going to make it out facing in the right direction.
Yeah, back again, of course. Same car as before, the Toyota Super Formula car. That middle sector here is going to be tricky in these cars because of all that aero on the Super Formula car. We're going to get a dirty air through there, so it's going to be hard to follow, but of course, then the slipstream is really good, so positioning your car, it's a bit of a nightmare on this one.
Well, we just had one semi-final, so what do you think the drivers will have learned from that, the ones that were watching for semi-final 8? I know it's a different circuit, but we're in the same cars. Is there anything that they can take from that first semi-final and apply it to their race?
I think it just shows what we saw in that first semi-final was like being aggressive early, getting out front, super important, because everyone who got caught in the midfield just faded away. I mean, what was the gap between the top two and the rest? Like 7 seconds? That's ridiculous in a 12-lap race. So getting out front early, getting your own space, don't squabble. I mean, it's great for viewing, but obviously not for your race.
Yeah, don't fluff your lines, basically, is the name of the game. Of course, 12 different drivers in this one. Antonio Santos, the Frenchman, making his debut. You've got Josh Struick in there as well, the Australian. Pol Ura, last year's world champion. Can he do the business here today? Do you know, I was looking at some stats earlier on about Pol Ura. He's not had the best of online seasons, only 6th in the online rankings going into this one in the EMEA region. So, you know, I'm not saying his back's up against the wall because he's managed to show good pace here for the qualifier, but certainly not where he was this time last year.
The thing with Pol Ura that I've noticed, if he's out front, happy, he'll just drive away. If he's in combat with other people, he ends up maybe fading a little bit. He hasn't quite got that wheel-to-wheel expertise down, but still a very fast driver, one to watch out for sure.
Yeah, Alex Lopez also on the grid as well. He'll line up in 4th place, the 22-year-old Spaniard as well. You can see the crowd here in Amsterdam. So great to have a live audience. I've absolutely loved this over the course of 2024. The return of the live audience for the first time since, what, 2020 in Sydney, I think it is. And it's just been mega. It's so great to have an atmosphere, a crowd here, all pumped up, ready to enjoy the racing. But it does add an extra element of pressure for our drivers.
Yeah, a little bit, definitely. But I see a lot of these guys, these headsets they've got here, they're pretty decent. Although I say Pol Ura appears on the screen and suddenly there's a big cheer goes up. So obviously very, very popular. But our drivers just getting that last little bit of prepping now, just relaxing. Santos there, very, very, very quick in qualifying. Wouldn't be able to repeat that though in the race. It's a little bit of Aluni actually, also quick in qualifying, couldn't quite get there in the race. So, but a lot of these new drivers may be feeling that pressure.
You're obviously normally the other way around, aren't you? You're more of a racer than a qualifier, so you've said.
Yeah, I can't qualify at all. Zero experience there, but racing is like the important bit. It's making sure you're consistent in the race. Is that Adam Sassuillo there? I haven't seen him for a while. Nice to see him in the audience as well. Great. Takuma Miyazono, look at that! Can you buy that? Is that official merch?
If it is, I've got an idea for some merch, actually. That's great. Yeah. Also, just seen Mika Zal there as well, former champion in the audience as well. Let's have a look at the starting grid, just to remind you of this one for semi-final B. So Antonio Santos, the Frenchman, will line up at the head of this one. Then Josh Struick in 2nd place. Spanish second row, Ura and Lopez. Then Adriano Carrazza with Taj Ayman, the Malaysian, making his return to GT World Series competition with Sternberg, Kevin Pounder, Randall Hayward, Baptiste Beauvoir, Guy Barbara, and also Carl Etemezion, the Lebanese driver. Anyway, that's the starting grid. We are ready to get this one underway. Let's head down to Jules to get the crowd pumped up ahead of the race starts.
Wow, yeah, as you can see from that semi-final A, it's top 6 or just forget about it. The level of racing competition is so high here, and we are so excited to get the semi-final B underway. Are you guys ready? It's going to be amazing. Remember, it's top 6 or just go home. We'll see you then.
Underway for the Toyota GT Cup, and here are the 12 drivers lining up on the grid. 6 will go through into the grand final. 6 will sadly go no further. Antonio Santos starts this one in pole position. Josh Struick, the Australian, alongside on the front row of the grid. Then Pol Ura, the reigning world champion, on the head of the second row with Alex Lopez for company alongside him. Then you've got Adriano Carrazza heading row 3, the Brazilian, and he has got Taj Ayman, the Malaysian, in 6th position. Next up, Roberto Sternberg, the second of our Brazilian drivers on the field. Kevin Pounder alongside him. Next up on the grid, Randall Haywood, the American driver, knows how to put in a strong performance. Can he do it here tonight? Baptiste Beauvois will be looking to try and make some forward progress from 10th. Guy Barbara in 11th position, difficult qualifying for the Australian. And Carl Atamezion, the Lebanese super sub, lines up 12th on the grid. 12 laps of action then, ready to go. Wait for the 5 red lights to come on. Who will reign supreme at the Red Bull Ring? Long hold for the drivers, lights out, and we're underway. Good start from Santos, good start from Struik up the front row. Who gets the drag down towards the first corner? Ura moving over on his countryman Lopez down to the first turn. Contact between the top two. Santos tries to close the line on Struik out of the first turn, but there's contact between the two, and that's left Struik under pressure from Alex Lopez as well. Ura's lost out in the opening stages as well as we come down in towards turn 3. This is the first overtaking opportunity. Santos on the inside, Lopez on the inside of Struik as well. Carranza making gains there as Ura drops down to 5th position. On board we ride with the Brazilian driver down into the next big braking zone, but a chaotic start at the front there, Jimmy.
Yeah, I mean, it's not over yet, Tom, as Lopez looks to the inside of Santos. Can't make anything work from there. Struik down to P3 there from his second place starting position, but chaotic in the T1 though. I'd be interested to see a replay of that. Looks like Lopez tried to put Struik tried to put a nose up the inside, didn't quite make it work though, and he sort of suffered for it. Going for that middle sector for the first time. This is where the cars are going to struggle a tiny bit from that dirty air as we pass our penalty line, coming down into the last couple of corners to complete our first lap. Santos leads, Lopez second, Struik third, Carranza fourth, Ura fifth, and Taj Ayman in 6th. The top 6, of course, a reminder, do go through to that grand final.
So across the timing line we go then. Santos with a good start there. Struik, I have to say, he got off quite lightly following that first corner incident because it could have left him under a bit more pressure than he would have liked. Out of the first turn we go and into towards the long straight into turn 3. This is the heavy braking zone. Carranza, we look now, is on the back of Struik. Is he going to have a lunge to the inside? Is Lopez going to have a look on Santos for the race lead? Down into turn 3, the Spaniard up through and into the lead. Does he get the car stopped? Carranza also through on Struik for 3rd place there behind as well. And now Santos goes from the driver defending to the driver possibly attacking against Lopez here.
Yeah, still in the wheel tracks is Santos. Not going to let it go away so far. But Lopez up into 1st place, a bit lower down the field. Guy Barbara up to P7 on the grid, up 4 places from his qualifying position. We saw his error in qualifying earlier, now having to do all the work in the race. But what a recovery that would be from the Aussie driver. Meanwhile, Carranza, we all have to say Carranza's quite an aggressive driver, and you sort of need that in these races when the cars are all so close together. Saying that, Paul Ura is going one better up the inside of Carranza, doesn't fight it too much. Paul Ura back up into 3rd place where he started, and I think now just being a bit more, he's got into a bit now as Ura, and now trying to chase Santos and Lopez at the front of the pack.
Something's happened to Baptiste Beauvois on the opening lap as well. He's 7.5 seconds off the back of Kevin Pounder as well, so it's not been a particularly fortuitous start for the Frenchman. Always seems to be in a bit of bother as of late. We haven't seen much of him in the GT World Series, and unfortunately here in the Toyota GT Cup, it's not been particularly fruitless as well.
Sternberg there with a penalty, so that will give Guy Barbara a little bit of breathing room behind. On board with Paul Ura as we almost run into the back of Santos there. Struik down to 6th place. Had an awful... and now down to 7th. What's happened to Struik? Has there been a problem there? Yeah. Guy Barbara up to 6th.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. It might have run wide at the first corner, or maybe just come under... attack from the slipstream behind of those 2 drivers. On board we ride here with Ura. You can see behind him you've got Carranza and Taj Ayman, who's having a brilliant race. He's up into 5th position from 6th on the grid. Guy Barbara also having a particularly brilliant run as well. He's up to 6th from 11th on the grid as well. So that's really strong there for Guy Barbara. We saw how disappointed he was in the highlights of qualifying earlier on, and the young Australian will be looking forward quite literally in this race to trying to get through into that grand final. A reminder, the top 6 progress forwards in this race. If you're 7th and down, you go home. Oh, there we are. The graphic comes up on screen right at the same time.
Thank you, Mr. Graphic Man. We love you.
Across the timeline we go then. Lopez now with nearly a half-second advantage over Santos. Bit of a look on the inside there for Guy Barbara as Ayman gets a bit of a wiggle on out of the first corner. That could leave him under pressure from the 2 Aussies close behind. There's a train of cars now following him. Ayman knows that. Goes to the defensive line down into towards turn 3. Is Barbara going to have a lunge to the outside? Further up the order we see Santos and Lopez very close for company behind. Ayman, Barbara and Struik exit the corner in the same positions that they entered. So no move being made at this particular point, but certainly food for thought.
Yeah, I mean, of course, these top three right now do have the opportunity to battle each other and try and move away. As Barbara goes up into 5th place there in the background. Here, however, is a start of the T1 incident that we saw. Struik on the inside there. Oh, it's just 6-1. Lopez does run into the back of Paul Euro, though, puts him off onto the runoff. Yeah, the problem is there was just no room for Lopez and Euro there, and they just came a cropper courtesy of what had happened and unfolded in front of them. It just caused a proper concertina effect, didn't it? Either way, Euro has regrouped brilliantly here. The Spaniards working well here tonight. We saw a 1-2 in semi-final A. Spoiler alert, sorry about that, should have said that before. But on board we ride now with Paul Euro, and we've got Santos being the ham-on in the middle of a Spanish sandwich at the moment, so to speak. I hate when you say that, Tom.
Lopez wide out of the first corner as well, and I just wonder if he's starting to feel the pressure of Santos behind here.
Yeah, maybe, but these guys don't need to do much apart from drive around right now. I know that sounds like a silly thing to say. As a commentator, Sternberg giving another 1-second penalty. Maybe that's what happened to Struik earlier. We did see an issue through there. We're still on board with Paul Euro. These top three really just separated by no time at all. See there, our special guest Kamui Kobayashi watching on, of course, drives one of his cars in real life, and Euro goes up the inside, big dive there. Santos gives him the room. Paul Euro up into P2, showing just why he is the reigning champion.
Fantastic from Paul Euro. That was a proper committed lunge to the inside down at turn 4, late as you like, but pulled it off very cleanly. And fair play to Santos for seeing him coming and giving him racing room. Karatsa in 4th place. He's kind of in no man's land here at the moment, isn't he? He's nowhere near close enough to attack the top 3, but he's got no real competition from Guy Barbara or Josh Struik behind there as well. So let's keep an eye and see what happens to Karatsa, whether that gap between himself and Barbara starts to shrink. Last time around, Karatsa was about 0.3 of a second quicker than Guy Barbara, so pretty even Stevens in terms of their pace as we now hit the halfway point of this one. Santos now, meanwhile, on the back of Paul Euro into turn 1. Closes up onto the back of the Spaniard.
It's so tricky out of T1 because it's very bumpy. There's a lot of on the exit it's bumpy too, and these cars have no TC, so you have to really control that throttle on exit. Very easy to have that little moment there. And Santos lifting, opting not to go for the move on Paul Euro. And we saw a little bit of this actually in the last race, where just thinking, well, I can go for a move here and cost us both half a second, or I can just wait here and try and be pulled forward by Paul Euro, who I think right now is the fastest man on track. So Paul Euro on a bit of a charge now that he's got into a rhythm.
Driver I'm keeping my eye on is Carl Etemezion. He started at the back of the grid courtesy of not being able to set a qualifying lap time. He was 0.4 of a second faster than Struik and Barbara. Just got ahead of Ayman briefly. Ayman's just managed to repay the favour and overtake the Lebanese driver, but don't discount it because look at how close it is here for position. Randall Haywood keeping a watching brief at the back of this one, as well as Kevin Pounder. So Etemezion, if he can dispose of Ayman and get himself in a bit of clear air, then he could be on to latch onto the back of Josh Struik before the end of this race. The problem is he's involved and engrossed and entangled, as it were, in this battle for the time being.
He just needs to make the move. You can see on board there with Ayman the red hoop there signifying no more push to pass. So he's out of that already. Behind him, same load for Taj Ayman. Sorry, for Etemezion, my apologies. Who gets very sideways there. Next to that is going to help Randall Haywood there, the American driver, looking to pick up the pieces. Kevin Pounder as well, his fellow countryman in tow as they both go up towards C3 here. Heavy braking zone. Etemezion goes defensive, tries to keep the pace from Randall Haywood, runs him a little bit wide onto that curb and he spins, and Randall Haywood round. Now, is he going to catch it? No, he takes Kevin Pounder with him too. But no, I mean, style points awarded there, but nothing else.
No. Unfortunate there for Randall Haywood and for Kevin Pounder as well. And I have to say, Carl Etemezion, he made a late move under braking as well. Taj Ayman picks up a 1-second penalty for that collision. So we need to see a replay of what happened, because that all unfolded a lap before the one that the incident that we just saw. So Ayman with a 1-second penalty, that'll drop him behind Etemezion. But like I say, Carl, for my money at least, was a late move under braking. That kind of started that whole chain of events, really. Down in towards the final corner we go. Antonio Santos, 3rd place for him for now. And Lopez, half-second penalty for track limits then. Yura is going to go sweeping on by the Spaniards and dispatches of Alex Lopez in towards turn 1. And that's pretty important for him.
Yeah, Lopez has said that happened, didn't he? He's like, yeah, go through. I know I've got his penalty. I'm not going to hold you up too much. Just playing the clever game here, you know. A reminder that all these drivers right now are going to be qualified into the grand final. So Lopez has gone for the move. I thought he let him through. Went for the move there on Polyura. If anything, slowed himself down a little bit, but maybe I was wrong. Maybe there isn't any love between these two.
Down the back straight we go then, in towards turn 4. Santos on the inside needs to get this move done quite cleanly and quite quickly as well. Side by side we go. Santos pushes Lopez towards the outside of the curb. Lopez, no defence from him at all, and drops down into 3rd place. And of course he's got that half-second penalty to compound his woes. So a 3-way battle will go down to a 2-way battle very shortly, as Lopez now about to enter the penalty zone. Through into the right-hander we go. Penalty zone incoming, and Lopez then sadly will drop out of contention. So it goes now Jura and Santos in the fight for victory in this one. Lap 8, soon to be lap 9 out of 12. And they're keeping their powder pretty dry at the moment. Are they?
Well, we'll see. Santos has been a bit, he's just sort of bided his time this race so far. Paul, you're a little bit wide of the exit. They have a great exit off the corner for the Spanish driver. A little bit further down the field, both Barbara and Struik 5th and 6th place. Etemesian, though, is catching Struik in front. He's not being quick on the last few laps. And Etemesian, now in clean air on his own, is lapping about 6/10 a lap quicker. He does have the time to catch the second of the Aussie drivers. But again, Guy Barbara up 6 from his qualifying spot. Etemesian up 5. So these two extremely fast at the moment on circuit.
So Jura leads, Santos in second. I'll tell you what, Lopez, I thought he'd be out of contention for this one, given the time he would lose, but he's not far away at all. He's only 0.6 of a second off the back of those, and that gap is now beginning to decrease as well. So let's see whether Lopez can bring himself now back into that fight for victory. Just a reminder, the top 6 go through, but also, depending on what position you finish in this race, will determine your grid position for the grand final. So if you win this one, then you'll go through to second on the grid for the grand final. If you're second, you'll start 4th on the grid, and so on and so forth. Etemesian and Hayward under investigation for that collision. We'll hopefully get a replay of that and have another look at the incident as we come across the timing line. 3 to go then. And Jura just soaking up the pressure from Santos like a sponge at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, nice and easy at this point in the race. Just 3 laps to go, including this one. Paul Jura has been in this position many times before. He knows how to lead races. He knows how to win races, so probably not feeling too much pressure right now. And Santos, you said, just getting out of the throttle nice and early, just waiting. Again, he'll be waiting for the last lap opportunity there. A live audience, of course, behind our drivers, being treated to a show right now.
Karatza and Barbara have just changed places there in 4th and 5th place as well. So Karatza must have made a mistake, because he had a fair old gap between himself and the Aussie. Hopefully, again, we'll get a replay of exactly what happened, but that's great news there for Guy Barbara, because not only, again, does it elevate him up a position, but also a position on the grid for the grand final if the checkered flag fell now. But still, a lot of time to run in this race, a lot of opportunity for things to change. We know that the slightest mistake can cost you a lot of time and an opportunity, and look at that, Jura just flirting with the edge of danger on the curb through the middle sector.
I always wonder through there where the track limits are exactly. Of course, we use the in-game track limit penalty system, so if you go over, you go over. There's no arguing it. And these guys, of course, though, will have many laps of experience and will know exactly where all those penalty zones and all those lines are at this point. So on to penultimate lap, Jura, Santos, Lopez, who have been pretty much separated by nothing for the entire race, still leading the pack there. And then it's about 4 seconds back to Guy Barbara in 4th place. Again, we've said it a few times, what a race it's been from Guy Barbara.
Yeah, phenomenal. 11th on the grid for him. And again, Santos just lifting off down in towards turn 3. I wonder if he's just going to think about maybe a dress rehearsal on this lap. I can't imagine he's going to go for the move, because he's still got a lap and a half to go, and it would be a little bit pointless really at this particular point. But Jura parking his car on the inside, Santos going for the move on the outside. Then does he challenge for the lead down into turn 4? Santos on the outside, Jura on the inside. Etemesian gets a 2-second penalty as we still see the two going side by side, and Jura does manage to retain the lead. Santos lives to fight another day and is just waiting for the right opportunity, the right moment to pounce for victory, but he's got to keep an eye on the man behind, Alex Lopez, as well.
Yeah, it's what you said, Tom. It's just trying things out on this lap, just trying to say, okay, where do they go defensive here, will he defend here? Lopez, though, it's very close behind as we come on now to the last couple of corners on the penultimate lap. Still push the pass to use for both the drivers at the front of the pack, so these guys still have a bit of a weapon at their disposal. Jura goes defensive straight away, crossing the line to start the last lap. Who will be here in first position in a lap's time?
So down in towards the first corner we go. Out of there we head in towards the fast kink of turn 2. It's not really a corner. Turn 3 is the big braking zone. That's where we can see the first move being made. But the problem is, if you run too deep into there, compromise your exit, it could leave you vulnerable down in towards turn 4. They go nose tail into there. Santos has a half look on the inside, but decides discretion is the better part of valor, and Alex Lopez is ready there to pick up the pieces as well. Jura gets a stonking exit out of turn 3 as Barbara and Karatza exchange places. Here comes Lopez then on the inside of Antonio Santos. Side by side, they go for second. Down into turn 4. Santos tries to close the door, but Lopez is there ready to walk through. The Spaniard on the inside, but Antonio Santos does hold it through on the outside as we come through into the middle sector. I have to say, though, that's given a nice bit of breathing space here for Pol Jura, JB.
Yeah, it's now coming to the end of the lap, and Pol Jura leading from Santos and Lopez, but there's not many corners left to do anything now. Jura out front, Santos second, and Lopez third.
Down in towards the final couple of corners we go then. Pol Jura has controlled this one absolutely beautifully around the final turn. It's going to be victory in semi-final B for Pol Jura. He takes the checkered flag and will start on the front row of the grid for the grand final. Antonio Santos in second. Alex Lopez completes the podium in third place ahead of Guy Barbara and Adriana Karatza. Josh Struick is the last of the drivers to qualify for the grand final. We sadly lose Taj Ayman, Roberto Sturberg, Carla Temesi on the Lebanese driver. Drove a valiant race, but unfortunately a 2-second penalty in the closing stages really put pay to a strong result there for him.
Yeah, I mean, great drive by Pol Jura. We saw in the end that he just managed to get back into that groove, and it just shows when he's out front, when he can control the race, he likes it out there, and we saw it there, just showing the speed there. Santos, a great performance there from a first-timer at a live event. P2 on front of this massive stage. Lopez there third as well, and Guy Barbara managing to finish in fourth. Karatza fifth, Struick in sixth. So here's a replay then of the start. It's a bit cleaner than semi-final A. Santos there and Struick out front. Struick going for the move from Santos early, hitting the car out to the exit, and unfortunately for Struick, just couldn't quite come back from that.
Yeah, certainly couldn't for Josh Struick. This is Antonio Santos versus Alex Lopez in the opening stages of the race. Karatza was getting his elbows out at this point as well. The Spaniards have performed valiantly so far here tonight in both of the semi-finals. This was Pol Jura diving his way to the inside of the Frenchman, down in towards turn 4. Got that move done quite nicely, and then set about making his move on Alex Lopez. Lopez picking up that half-second penalty, and you can see Jura sliding his way through on the inside down to the first corner. Not much of a defence there for Lopez, knowing that it was pretty much all in vain, really, once he had that penalty. This is Santos getting the better of him just a handful of corners later. Up through on the inside into turn 4. And then going ahead of Lopez. Lopez, though, did manage to do well to bring himself back into the fight for victory despite that penalty. The closing stages, we saw Santos looking for that move on the outside into turn 4. Jura defended the line absolutely brilliantly, pushed his way towards the outside of the circuit as he was entitled to do so. Santos there, no momentum to challenge him going through into there, and Jura came round the next lap to take victory ahead of Santos and Alex Lopez. Let's go down to Jules then. She's catching up with the winner, Pol Jura.
Yes, I'm joined down the floor by last time's winner. How was that for you? Do you feel like the level of competition is more difficult this year from last year, as someone who won last year?
Well, I'd say every year is difficult. Of course, it's a bit different. There is some new people, but these people that are new, we've actually raced during the online season, so we already know them a little bit. And yeah, this race was a bit difficult for me. The start was hard. I got pushed out, and I was 5th at a time. But yeah, I just came up through the field.
And obviously, you know, going into the grand final, it's all of your Nations Cup teammates, the top of the other semi. What is it about the Spanish in this? What is it? What's going on?
I don't know.
What's the Spanish vibe? Why do you keep winning these things?
I just don't know, like last year. So, yeah.
And how is it with you guys? You know, obviously because you race as teammates, but then, you know, when you're competing against each other, and this is it, they don't hate you secretly, do they?
No, I mean, we're friends.
You're good friends?
Yeah, since last year we raced and we're still friends, so I think it's gonna continue being like that.
Do you think they're your like hottest competition going into the grand final, do you reckon? Ooh, you can say other things. You don't have to agree with me.
I don't know. It looks tough. The final's gonna be tough.
Yeah, but are you feeling confident? I hope you're feeling confident.
Yeah, I am.
Okay, good. Well, I'm glad. All right, we're going to check it back up to Tom and Jimmy.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed, Jules. Semi-final B then, the results. Pole Eura taking victory, the Spanish on top form here tonight so far. Antonio Santos, Spanish-sounding name, but a French nationality for him in second place, and Alex Lopez in third position as well. Quite brilliant race. We said it a few times in that one for Guy Barbara from 11th on the grid up into 4th ahead of Adriano Carrazza and Josh Struick as well. 2 Aussies in the grand final, Jimmy.
Yeah, that means we do say goodbye to Taj Hyman, Roberta Sternberg, Carl Atamesian, Kevin Pounder, Baptiste Bovar and Randall Hayward. Unfortunately, not getting into that top 6, and Baptiste Bovar, I've got to say, I don't think I saw him once in that race. It's a real shame for someone who has been very quick over the course of these live events. Of course, here we are at the Fiat Amsterdam, the World Finals here. Amazing venue this as well. You should see all the cars have got parked outside. The venue itself absolutely draped in every bit of GT merch possible. Might have to go gathering after this.
Yeah, I tried that. I did try, yeah, all in vain. I tried to get the keys for the Supra as well. They wouldn't let me have that either. Again, despite my best efforts. As we know, of course, GT, we've got loads on this weekend. Not only the Toyota Gazoo Racing GT Cup, Manufacturers' Cup coming up later on tonight. We've got the Nations Cup coming along the way tomorrow as well. We've got a stacked lineup for you. And also, we've got a chance for you to get involved as well. The campaigns that we are running on GT7 here this weekend are brilliant. Have a look at this to find out a bit more information.
Dive into the action from inside Gran Turismo 7 with the World Series bonus campaign. Click the Predict the Winners campaign banner on the GT7 world map for the chance to win 1 million credits for each championship by simply predicting who will win. Think of all the amazing cars and upgrades you could snag with that. Don't wait too long, entries close right before the start of each grand final. Want more prizes? Watch the World Series broadcast in your GT7 game to unlock free in-game rewards. Catch the Toyota TGR Cup in-game and claim a 6-star roulette ticket. Who knows what prizes could be yours? Make sure you don't miss out. This holiday season, GT7 is bringing something very special just for you. 2 exclusive holiday campaigns will run from December 15th to January 5th, offering a variety of festive in-game rewards simply for logging in. Don't miss this limited time event. It's our way of celebrating the holidays with you.
To bring our drivers onto the stage for the grand final of the Toyota Gazoo Racing GT Cup 2024 here in Amsterdam. Please welcome, all the way from Australia, it's Joshua Struick. The 22-year-old finished second in the Oceania region. It's his debut at the Gran Turismo World Series. Let's see what the Aussie can do here tonight. Next up, all the way from Indonesia, the 30-year-old Andika Rama Milana. He's a former Gran Turismo Academy finalist back in 2015. Let's see what he can do with strong pace here so far today. Next up, giving your all for Adriano Carrazza, the Brazilian. 35 years old, a GT World Series veteran. He finished 4th in the Central South America region this year. Next up, from Japan, give it up for Takuma Sasaki. 20 years old, second in the Asia region for the GT Cup. He finished 3rd overall in this event back in 2022. We just saw him going from near the back of the grid all the way to the top 4. Guy Barbara all the way from Australia. 28 years old, he was top in the Oceania region of the GT Cup this year. Next up, the Italian Marco Busnelli. 22 years old, qualified as part of the EMEA region in 2024. Let's see what the young Italian can do. Fresh off of the podium in semi-final B from Spain, it's Alex Lopez. 4th in the EMEA region, credits a smooth driving style. Let's see whether that will be Mantequilla here tonight. Next up, Ryota Kokeman from Japan. Ryota, a GT World Series veteran, 25 years old. He was 3rd in the Asia region this year. Antonio Santos from France is next up. 5th in the EMEA region. It's his first ever live event at just 18 years old. And Coque Lopez as well, all the way from Spain. 25 years old, finished 3rd overall in this event back in 2023. And next up, the reigning world champion, Pol Ura. 19 years old, the Spaniard is. Can he make it 2 titles in 2 years? And finally, his compatriot Jose Serrano will start the grand final from pole position. 22 years old is Jose. He was top of the EMEA region in 2024. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we ask you please to stand if you are able for the national anthem of our hosting nation here in the Netherlands. Race the Amsterdam then is the city at which we are hosting the Gran Turismo World Series World Finals in 2024, and what a city it is, full of character, full of vibrant energy. You can almost feel it permeating its way through the rooftops here this weekend, and there's lots of energy here at the Theatre Amsterdam as well, especially ahead of the grand final for the TRGT Cup.
The Dutch crowd never disappoints. I think one of the most loud and expressive audiences that we have here in the GT World Series. Of course, behind us, you recognise that, Tom? Know where that's from?
I am aware of it, and we've just completely turned the rule book on its head. We've had open wheel cars in sprint races. Now we've got a much longer race for the grand final, and we're at the Circuit de la Sarthe, Le Mans, to you and me, in the Toyota GR010 Hybrid. A Le Mans prototype car around this track, Jimmy. It doesn't get much better than this, does it?
Yeah, I mean, for me, this is like the pinnacle of racing, and it's definitely a great place for our final to be. Ain't that race around here as well? Bit of tyre strategy coming into play as well, with each tyre type having to be used for a minimum of 2 laps. And here is the beautiful GR010 Hybrid. Lots of horsepower, lots of aero, a little bit heavier though than, of course, those open wheel Super Formula cars. So a bit of a different driving style needed to be quick around here.
Our boffins have done some calculations on the tyres, and you can see if you start on the soft, you're probably going to do a couple of laps on those, then change over to the mediums, then go to the hards. The thing is, we know that the drivers in the GT World Series like to do their own thing. So though we've got those graphics, what it's really useful for is seeing how different the tyres are in terms of performance. 1.5 seconds slower, the racing mediums than the racing softs, and the racing hards 3.5 seconds slower in total than the racing softs. So yeah, there's a big discrepancy between tyre performance over the course of this one, and it's a very long lap here at the Circuit de la Sarthe, isn't it?
Yeah, I think this really depends how good you are on your tyre. It's very easy to burn up that soft tyre, and if you do that, you're basically, you've just got rid of your biggest advantage in this race. The higher tyre compound tends to be lava. You want to get off it as soon as possible. But I'll be interested to see if people can balance that medium and soft tyre properly, because that's where the time's going to be found.
Well, what they need is the tyre whisperer, someone who's good at managing their tyre life. I think Jules is down on the stage and has found someone who might know a thing or two about how to drive one of these Le Mans prototypes.
Well, yes, we are very, very lucky to be joined today by a former F1 driver, someone who's won the WEC title twice and Le Mans in 2021 and drives Super Formula Odyssey. It's going to take me 20 minutes just to explain everything that they've done. Please give a very warm welcome to Kobayashi-san. Hi, how are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, good. Well, I mean, you've driven so many different cars and so many different races, and you've got so many different jobs, team principal as well, obviously, of Toyota GAZOO Racing. Do you actually have any time to play Gran Turismo? Do you have any free time at all?
Well, I used to have it, and during the COVID time.
Yeah.
But obviously, after the COVID passed, obviously, getting more busier, and I have been not using it at all. But yeah, I had a really big fun, enjoying. Here's the teacher, Yamanaka-san. Yeah. He was teaching me while the Gran Turismo.
Yeah. Well, it's the right person to be teaching you Gran Turismo. He's pretty good. He's pretty good. Talk us through a little bit about the Toyota GAZOO Racing season. What's happened this year?
Well, I think so far, I think we won the WRC, the manufacturer title, and of course, as you see the WEC car, we won the manufacturer title as well. So I think so far we have been pretty good. And yeah, I mean, our activity is such important to bring car better from the motorsports. So I think we are commit very hard on the motorsports, and we try to bring a good road car in the future.
Yeah, and you will, I'm sure. So obviously going into the grand final, this is totally your thing. It's your car, it's your track. Have you got any advice to our competitors for how to win?
Well, I see that you need to have a little strategy as well, because you need the minimum tire change as well in the pit stop. So actually, I think it's such important to using the strategy, because this is such long track, and of course I think 8 lap is not long, but obviously this track is much longer than other track. So obviously I think you need to manage the tire as well. But yeah, I think here its key is such a long straight. So how you use the slipstream, I think that's a key point.
Yeah, well, I think the time is now. Are you guys ready to see the grand final? Okay, all right, let's kick off the TGR GT Cup grand final.
It's time to get racing for the Toyota GR GT Cup Grand Final here at the Circuit de la Sarthe. The Toyota GR010 is the machine in which the drivers will be competing in over the course of 8 laps. Tyre strategy to come as well. And here is how the grid lines up. Jose Serrano heads this one off from pole position. Alongside on the front row, it's the Spaniard Pol Ura, then Coque Lopez making the Spanish 1-2-3 from third on the grid, and then Antonio Santos, the Frenchman. A lot of support for him here tonight. Ryota Kokkerman heads the next row of the grid with Alex Lopez for company. And then next up, you've got Marco Busnelli, the Italian. And he has got Guy Barbara, who put in an emphatic performance in the semi-final a few moments ago. Takuma Sasaki sits in 9th position on the grid. Next up is Adriano Carrazza. And the final row here is Rama, the Indonesian driver, in 11th, with Struick completing the 12-driver strong field. Now, tyre strategy coming into play for this one. Drivers can start on whatever compound of tyre they like. They must use the softs, the mediums, and the hards. And we can see there Serrano has gone for the mediums, whereas Ura, interestingly, Jimmy, has gone for the hards.
Yeah, interestingly, no one opted in to go for that soft tyre first. We usually see the leading few cars go for the soft tyre, try and break away. But, of course, Le Mans Circuit de la Sarthe is a completely unique circuit in the way that it's just this massive back straight. It is cut up by a couple of chicanes, of course, but the toe down there is huge, so even on the soft tyre, you wouldn't be able to put away.
Well, we've never had a double world champion in the Toyota GAZOO Racing GT Cup. We've been running this one since 2019. That could be made here tonight, that history, with Pol Ura starting in second on the grid, but there is a hard-charging field ready to try and take away his crown. Let's get ready to go racing. The grand final for the Toyota GAZOO Racing GT Cup here at the Circuit de la Sarthe is about to get underway. Jose Serrano, Pol Ura and Coque Lopez will lead the field across the line as we go racing! Jose Serrano leads the field across the line, then down towards the first corner, in towards the Dunlop chicane. Ura and Lopez in second and third place respectively. The rolling start spreading the field out relatively quickly, but it will close up, and as we head on towards the long Mulsanne straight, that is when we will see drivers making moves with that slipstream beginning to come into effect. Quite brilliant first couple of corners there for Jose Serrano on the medium tyre. Ura, of course, he's going to struggle not only with pace but also getting those hard tyres up to working temperature.
Well, amazing. So that is 12 hypercars making their way through Tete Rouge for the first time. Now we get onto that massive long straight as Pol Ura already dropped the slipstream from Serrano. As you see, the cars all going into single file, all using that drive, that slipstream, just to get closer to the car in front. Lopez there has Santos right on his rear bumper as we come down to the first heavy braking zone of the circuit. The first Mulsanne chicane here. Let's see if anyone goes to move. Lopez looks up the inside of Ura, goes to the move up to P2. In the background, Santos Santos almost runs into the back of Paul Ura there, very, very late on the brakes was the French driver, but everyone through there in one piece, and Lopez up into second.
Carazza and Sasaki were pretty close for company going into there as well. They somehow managed to emerge from the corner in the same way that they entered. On the run down in towards the next chicane we go then, and Serrano, as you said, quite brilliant first few corners there. He's done exactly what he needed to do. Santos, meanwhile, now coming under pressure and being overtaken by Alex Lopez then, so it's a Spanish 1, 2, 3, 4 in the opening stages of this race. They are absolutely commanding things in the opening stages of this race, as they have done so pretty much all evening, really, let's be fair.
And what we're likely going to see as this race goes on is the different tyre compound runners sort of bunching together. Lopez now very much at the head of the train of Santos and Kokubun, who's lost a place from his starting position, and a small gap now between the top three. But yeah, Spanish 1, 2, 3, 4, and these guys really like Toyotas.
Oh, Serrano was a bit deep coming out of the corner there, just ran it onto the gravel, and I wonder if that might compromise his run down in towards Indianapolis. It seems like he's lived to fight another day, but he's lost a couple of tenths of a second. He's now bringing Lopez back into that slipstream range that he did so hard in those first few turns, that first sector, to get him out of.
You really can launch it around there. I mean, you can just about get close to maybe brushing that gravel, but anything beyond that, it starts getting a little bit sketchy. So, Serrano, Lopez Jura, and Lopez number 2. Should we call him that from now? The second Lopez. 1, 2, 3, 4 Spanish domination so far, but we've got a long way to go in this race, as Santos is just about leading that second pack behind. Interesting though, Paul Ura on that hard compound managing to stay ahead of a couple of medium compound runners. So this is a very strong start from Paul Ura on a tyre that isn't quite as quick as those around him.
Good moves being made there in the background. Adriano Carazza's gone up a couple of places from where he started. You can see him right on the back of Marco Busnelli as we head through in towards Indianapolis then. Superb section of the track, and then in towards the Porsche curves. Up at the front, we are on board here with Alex Lopez. Got a face full of Paul Ura at the moment, through that left-hander, riding the curbs. Just a brilliant section of circuit, as indeed is the whole of the Circuit de la South. Rama and Struik have got an investigation going on, because they have collided with one another seemingly on track at some point over the course of this race. They are down in 11th and 12th position respectively, some 4.3 seconds off the rest of the field. So that's something to keep an eye on, and we'll wait and see whether there are any penalties awarded.
Just a technical last part of the course there with those chicanes. So easy to get it wrong, hit the curb in the wrong way and upset the car, but everyone there masterfully making their way through. Kokubun gets back. Santos in the background. Carazza. Oh, he's hit Santos as well. I mean, every time we see a Carazza on the circuit, someone gets punted, and this time is not an exception. Santos there getting a car in his radiator. Luckily, all okay there, but I'm sure that'll be investigated, as Josh Struik also gets a 1 second penalty. Something we missed a bit earlier on. We might see it now, though. Here we go.
Yeah, let's have a look. So this is on the run down in towards Indianapolis then. So Rama ahead, Struik behind. I think Struik's just going to go a bit too late on the brakes and punt into the back. Yeah, he does. Oh, sends up the inside. Thankfully, the doors were open there by Guy Barbara. Otherwise, that could have been quite nasty. Struik just slowing down to let Rama get back through into that position, but it's cost them both very dear indeed. And I'm not saying the opportunity is gone, certainly, for a points-paying position here tonight, but it's going to make their charge a hell of a lot more difficult than it would have been otherwise.
It's going to be very, very difficult to come back from that one there, but race still goes on. We're on lap 2 of 8 here in the grand final of the Toyota GAZOO Racing GT Cup. Currently your leaders, the Spanish contingent. First, second, third and fourth. If you're a Spanish driver fan, you're having a very good day right now, I say that much. Here is what we saw kind of in the background here. Carazza going for a move from Busnelli. Big lunge, and there is Santos there. That move would have worked if there wasn't someone there. That's like 99% of Carazza's move. If there was no one there, the move would have been great.
And a 2 second penalty, that's going to be it'll be of as much use to his race as a T-Rex playing table tennis, won't it? Disappointing there for Adriano Carazza.
Where do you get these?
Christmas crackers normally, as it's the time of year.
Keeping you in business, mate.
It is, it really is. Well, you know, it's seasonal, isn't it? Paul Ura, I have to say, doing an exceptional job. Hard tyres, the slowest compound by some 2 seconds compared to the mediums at the moment, and he's managing to keep Alex Lopez at bay for now. That's brilliant for him, because he's sort of gone ugly early, if you like. He's gotten that hard tyre compound, the unfavourable one, out of the way, and Carazza, when he sticks his arm up in gesticulation, is that in retaliation to the penalty?
I mean, what do you expect? You can't run into people. You know, that's simple. I mean, I don't know, I'm not quite sure what he expects from that, but he'll deal that penalty now and have to try and make and come back from it. So on board with Reg Kokubun on that hard compound tyre. Great camera shot from inside this GR010. incredibly fast down the straight, so getting up to 200 plus mile an hour, and then having to try and scrub off that speed down into the braking zone. Such a unique car and circuit combination, this. It's just, you would never match anything to a prototype of Le Mans.
The penalty being served there for Angelo Corazza. The rest of the field are going to go streaming on through. Sasaki and Struik also picking up penalties. Busnelli and Lopez then. Lopez has dropped down to 6th place here. We missed that in all the haywire that was going on whilst we were looking at the replays. Let's have a look and see what happens here with Lopez. He's going to dive his way to the inside of Cockburn. Gets his way up through into 5th position. What's happening up in front? Antonio Santos there as well. So that was a move being made there for Alex Lopez. He's now managed to get his way up through and into 4th position, once again ahead of Ryota Cockburn. A little bit out of sequence, I think, that overtake there, because it caught us slightly off guard, because I don't think the top 4 has actually changed, given what we've seen. Meanwhile, we come towards the end of this lap, and we see our first pit stops taking place. Pol Ura is going into the box and taking very wide liberties with the gravel on the pit entry there. He's going to go from the hard tyre, as are a lot of the other hard runners, and change over to another compound. Will he go soft or will he go medium for this middle stint of the race?
Yeah, interestingly, Busnelli, the only non-hard tyre runner to pit as well on the medium. Maybe he's going to try and go for that longer stint on the soft tyre. Going to be risky though, very easy to burn that around here. Corazza still, I think, yet to serve that penalty. Ura into the pits then. The leading runner on the hard tyres goes to the mediums, unsurprisingly.
Yeah, so that's good for him. Busnelli goes to the soft compound tyre, so he's the outlier really amongst this gaggle of 6 drivers that have come into the box. Now, where does Ura emerge? The crucial thing when you make a pit stop like this is you want a nice bit of clear air, and that is exactly what Pol Ura's got. 22 seconds of it compared to Angelo Corazza, who has yet again picked up another penalty for him. Cockburn with a penalty, Santos with a penalty there as well. Did they cross the line on pit exits?
It's a 3-second penalty, so I think they've crossed the line on the way out there. That's huge for Santos and Cockburn. I mean, that's something that they very clearly outlined in the driver briefing. Do not cross the line on exit, do not cross the line on entry, and I think Cockburn and Santos have both done that. 3 seconds is massive, and that's going to put them pretty much out of contention.
Yeah, fine margins in the GT World Series, and you can see there, right as we say that, on pit entry and exit, drivers will be penalised for cutting across the white line, and so it's turned out to be for Cockburn and Santos. That's a huge shame for both of those drivers who were inside the top 5. They could have been on for a podium here tonight if it wasn't for that. I'm not saying it's out of contention, certainly, but there is going to be a fair odd amount of time for them to make up. Let's have a look. Oh, Ura crossed over the line there as well for my money, didn't he?
But maybe not quite to the same amount, but you see what happened there. Cockburn just a little bit wide on that first part, and just that's all, that tiny bit.
Yeah. Oh, hang on a minute. Weather coming into play here as well. We have got dynamic weather on for this one, and it looks like the clouds are going to be coming in very shortly indeed. Now, as far as I'm aware, we don't have intermediate or wet tyres available for the drivers in this race, so we'll see how much of a shower this is going to turn out to be, and this is going to be a proper test of a driver's skill to keep a car potentially on the track if it starts raining.
Well, I mean, it's not Le Mans without some rain, is it? Of course, as our special guest Kamui Kobayashi will know all about, and now our drivers are going to have to show just what they're made of here in the Toyota GAZOO Racing GT Cup Grand Final. Corazza making his way past Sasaki there, recovering, still having that, has a 0.5 second penalty to serve, which is for track limit. So Corazza really having a bit of a frantic race at the moment, but pace is still there, but the gap is starting to grow. You cannot afford too many more of these penalties.
The thing is, we always say with these longer races, it's a marathon, not a sprint. We saw some great moves from Corazza last time out because it was a sprint race. He was able to be aggressive and get his elbows out, but he's been driving like that in the opening stage of this one, and now he's paying the price for it as he drops down to 5th position. Sasaki now moving his way up into 4th place. So, just a reminder, the top 5 have not yet pitted. The weather is still coming in. We can see it on our timing screen here in the commentary box as well.
Isn't it?
It is, yeah, and it's going to hit the southern part of the or the northern part of the section first, isn't it? So that's going to be around Tetra Rouge going onto the Mulsanne.
Yeah, so basically the traction zone that you want, you're going to have. It's going to be awesome. I'm waiting for it to come in now.
Leader into the pits. Serrano comes into the box then off of the medium tyres.
So he didn't cut the course there. You see, he was right inside that curb, just not trying to maximise that moment as much. But Pol Ura, let's see where he ends up then. So he pitted first behind the rest of the Spanish drivers.
And he's been on the medium tyres, but of course they're a lot fresher than the medium shop runners who had stayed out in that race. So we'll keep an eye out for Pol Ura's lap time. Last time out, of course, it was an out lap, so we don't really have a particular representation, but he has been driving pretty handily so far. Not fastest overall lap times, but personal best lap times in this race so far, certainly. Serrano goes on front on the hard tyres. Lopez, Koke that is, following him through, as well as Alex Lopez. Sasaki going on to the soft compound of tyres, so he's the outlier now in the pit box. But where does Pol Jura emerge from this one in position?
So the soft tyre might actually be a great decision, because that tyre is going to lose heat quicker and gain heat quicker as well. And the worst thing for a slick tyre is for it to be cold. Rain will cool the tyre down, and if you're on a hard compound tyre, that might end up going against you.
Jura here on the medium compound of tyre. He's got better pace than those around him, because of course he's got 2 seconds a lap, relatively so, hand over fist with the medium tyre compared to the hard tyre in terms of the pace difference, and he's only got 1.5 seconds between himself, Koke Lopez and Jose Serrano. So this is a pretty interesting and very important middle stint for Pol Jura, who has decided to buck the trend of the top 4 of his compatriots in this race and could be on for a good one. But of course, as we know, the weather is starting now to close in and could play an important role.
But what that's going to do to Pol Jura now on that medium compound tyre is he's going to be able to catch Koke Lopez, who's in front. He's better to get onto that and then use the toe, and then probably they can work together and try and catch Serrano. So this is a good move strategically. It's not just about your own pace, it's about trying to understand the cars and the traffic around you. And I think Jura is just showing that he's got that brain, he's got that racer's mind there, and just going for that strategy.
Sasaki's got a penalty, Jimmy, as well. He's on the soft tyre in the middle stint of this one, and well, that's not working out at all for him. We said the soft tyre could be good, but when you get yourself penalties like that, even if it's only half a second or so, as we know, it's not just the half a second time that you lose in the penalty. It's about 1.5, 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's
costly.
It's not fun. I tell you that as someone who's received many of those penalties. Pol Jura, then you can see that the gap's down to 7 tenths now, and now he's getting that slipstream. Now he's getting that toe. It's basically just free speed. In the background, Sasaki still has that penalty to serve, 0.5 seconds. Kravats has got another penalty as well. If there's a reward for that, he'll be winning, I think, at this point. But Serrano out front, seemingly just undisturbed by all of this, just driving his own race. 3.5 seconds to the good of the cars behind, but the pack is closing.
Yeah, certainly is. Again, keeping an eye on the weather radar. It is still now beginning to close in, and we'll keep an eye and see how that develops. You can see the sun beginning to set in the southern parts of the circuit as we ride on board here with Pol Jura, who's now very much in slipstream range of Koke Lopez on the faster compound of tyre. This should be a bit of a formality, but as Jimmy said, if Lopez can latch onto the back of him, use that slipstream, close up onto the back of Serrano, it could benefit both of those drivers coming through in towards Arnage. Through to that right-hander 90-degree corner.
So he's had the benefit now. He's had the toe, had the slipstream. He now needs to get by before the Porsche curves, because otherwise he's going to be slowed down using that draft. Lopez is an old hand at this. He's going to know not to fight too hard at this point. And Pol Jura goes back up into second place and now has the tyre to try and track down Serrano in front. So a great place to get through there. You'll watch Pol Jura probably just pull away through here from Koke Lopez just because the tyre's better, more upper temperature at this point. But I can tell you that rain, I think, is very, very close to the top of the circuit. So we might have some rain, some drizzle at the top of the circuit. Tetrouge, the S's as well, just at the first part of that. Keep an eye on your monitor.
Well, yeah, cue the weather girls. Down in towards the Ford chicane we go. Sasaki looking for a move there on the inside of Alex Lopez, but nothing doing for him at the moment, despite the fact that Sasaki's on the quicker compound of tyre. Busnelli into the box then at the end of lap 5, or the end of lap 4 rather, start of lap 5. We come across the timing line here, and Sasaki almost pushing Lopez as we come across the timing line through into the fast right-handed kink of turn 1. Then the Dunlop chicane will be next for these drivers. Who's going to have the move on the inside? Lopez versus Sasaki. Sasaki firms it around the outside and goes up into 4th place. Lopez on the hard tyre, a bit of a sitting duck now, relegated down to 5th, possibly 6th if Barbara can have his way.
Yep, so Sasaki, good move from him. Again, needs to use that. Yeah, rain, there it is, rain on the floor at Le Mans, so that this is going to be very, very slippy through here. For now, everyone seems to have got through okay, but that track limit is just waiting for you on the exit at Tetrouge. Very easy to go wide there, especially with these slippery conditions. Everyone seems to have got through there okay, but the rain is still coming down, so next time through there is going to be a completely different part of the circuit.
Yeah, the thing is, as you say, it's not affecting the whole of the circuit. It's just that one localised area, sector 1 really, where the weather is coming at the moment. So the soft, medium, hard tyres are all going to be absolutely fine in the rest of the track so far.
You do have to be careful though, because that is going to cool your tyres down, and you're going to carry that lower tyre temp into the Mulsanne chicane, the first one. So you really have to think about how that's going to affect your tyres. Sasaki there going for a move on Koke Lopez, using that soft tyre and the slipstream. Up into third place goes the Japanese driver, and now in pursuit of Paul Ura. So right now on the lap 5, coming down to second Mulsanne chicane, your race order: Serrano, Ura, Sasaki and Koke Lopez, Barbara Lopez, Kokubun, Santos, Karatsa, Rama, Busnelli and Struck, who did not really recover from that incident on the first lap. And watching that weather radar that we have on our screen here, we'll show it to you guys shortly. The rain now is starting to move a bit more south onto the circuit, so it's covered a bit more now than just the top of the track.
It's moving kind of slowly. I don't think it's going to affect the whole track before the end of this race, isn't it? And we have still got a number of pit stops to come through in this one as well, because all the drivers, but for two, Busnelli and Struck, owe another compound of tyre in this race. And that's the thing for Sasaki. Though he's making great progress at this particular point, he's run the medium and now he's on the soft tyre. He has to owe the hard tyre at the end of that race. And we know the hard tyre, it's a bit like lava. You want to be on it for as little as possible.
Yep, that's pretty much it. Guy Barbara, again, another decent race here from the Australian driver up to P3. Now, I say for Guy, his history with events is he has the pace, but tends to make a mistake at some point and takes himself out of contention. But it's been a mature drive this time so far. In the background, though, not so much. Elbows out between Lopez and Kokubun. Santos having to serve a penalty there in the background. Lopez just about keeping ahead of Kokubun for now, but these guys really going at it at the moment.
Yeah, both on the medium compound of tyre, both pitted on the same lap as well, so they have pretty even tyre wear at the moment. Sorry, Lopez is on the hard compound of tyre, beg your pardon. So, yeah, we'll see how this one's going to work out. You'd imagine it'd be a bit of a formality there for Kokubun to get past Lopez, but through those Porsche curves, it's one at a time. You can't go 2 by 2.
Yeah, if you're Kokubun, you're pushing him through. Like, come on, hurry up, go, go, go. But he can't. He's going as quick as he can on that compound, and that just hurts the time there. And here it is, you can see the weather. We've got pretty much covering that top part of the circuit there. The wind's moving, though, from a western direction, so it is sort of blowing the rain through, but I don't think we're going to see it come any further south than that if the wind stays as it is.
Sounds like you're giving the shipping forecast on Radio 4.
I did feel very weatherman there. I was like trying to show things in the background you guys can't see, but hey, there we are.
So Sasaki now into the lead of the race on lap 6. He's on the soft compound of tyre. They're going to be coming towards the end of their shelf life for now. Meanwhile, at the sharp end of the field, and indeed right down to 10th place, you can see drivers coming in for their final tyre compound. So where are we going? We're going soft for Serrano and Ura. Koke Lopez going into soft. Everyone is, basically. They've got to do that. You know, no surprise at all. The only outlier really was the opening stint for those drivers. So it's going to be a bit of a moot point. The particular outlier is going to be Sasaki, but look at the rain coming down in this first sector. They've just come out of the pits. They're on fresh soft tyres. They haven't got themselves up to temperature, and now they're going to be tippy-toeing around, aren't they?
I'd love to just stay on board with Serrano and just see how he deals with it. Right now, there's a lot of grip, it seems, still on that soft tyre, able to really push the car. What about here, where the rain started? Mate, I mean, to be honest, it seems those tyres came out with some warmers or something, because it seems to go through there easily.
Yeah, I have to say, I was expecting that to be a bit high and sideways going through those corners, but there's so much aerodynamic and mechanical grip on these hypercars that, well, you can see exactly what that meant. There was no bother at all there for Jose Serrano, for Paul Ura, and the rain, though it is coming down, it's quite light in intensity, and as I said, it's not really affecting anything but that first sector on the track. So the rest of the Mulsanne straight, absolutely fine. They can get the tyres back up to the optimal operating temperature through the chicanes, and they're going to be completely all right for the rest of the lap.
So really, here is our fight for the lead. Sasaki still have to pit. Serrano and Ura separate by 1.5 seconds. Ura's got to try and gather Serrano back in, but as soon as he's in that slipstream range, he will be a threat, as we now see Lopez heading this train behind, Kokubun, Santos behind him, Barbara in front as well. So not over there for the podium positions. Yeah, Sasaki will be the one that I'm not quite sure where he's going to end up after. It's got to be a strong in lap now for Sasaki. It's got to be really, really quick.
It has. I'm just trying to find the pit loss time whilst I'm looking through my notes and failing, sadly. But I wonder if he's got enough. It is going to be pretty touch and go for my money here for Takuma Sasaki. So let's see what happens here for him. We've had two former Japanese winners of the Toyota GR-GT Cup. 2020, Takuma Miyazono won it when he did the Triple Crown, winning nations, manufacturers, and here in Toyota as well. And then Tomoaki Yamanaka won it also in 2021. Could we have a third Japanese winner? It's not out of contention, yeah, it's not out of the realms of possibility.
So Sasaki pushing super hard right now, qualifying laps from Sasaki just to try and do everything he can while he's on this soft compounder tyre. The Porsche curves coming up, but Serrano, Euro, Lopez behind, all on the soft tyre too, and gaining that tyre is fresh, it has more grip, and it is showing as the gap slowly comes down. But what can Sasaki do to go through the Porsche curves, the fastest part of the circuit here? Throw the car to the right, let the tyre and the aero do all the work. Watch out for this wall on the right-hand side. So easy to touch that, just grazing it there, leaving nothing on the table is Sasaki as he sprints towards the pit lane. But will it be enough? Will he be able to come out and still be in contention for the race win here in the TOYOTA GAZOO Racing GT Cup Grand Final?
So into the box then comes Takuma Sasaki. Off to the soft tyre, onto the hard tyre for the final stint in this race. The problem is, even if he does come out in the lead, he's going to be a bit of a sitting duck, because I don't think he's going to have that much of an advantage, if at all, over Serrano and Jura, especially given the fact that they've been lapping supremely fast over this lap or so. Certainly not quite lap record pace, given the fact that half the track is, well, not half the track, but certainly some of it is beginning to get wet. Now, look, it's beginning to affect the final sector, this weather here, Jimmy, as well. So Sasaki into the box and off of the soft tyres onto the hards, and the weather now beginning to have a bit more of an effect on this track.
And Serrano and Jura go back up into the first and second place as the rain comes down harder and harder. You see the spray now from the car. Jura goes wide. Jura goes wide over the circuit. That might be a cut track penalty there, but just gets it wrong on exit. So it's really, really slippy now in that first sector as Serrano just tiptoes through here. Nothing like the outlap we saw before. Look at the spray being kicked up now on that slick tyre. You have next to no grip. It's like ice skating. Jura, though, still there, still just about contention. Oh man, this is horrible for these drivers. Barbara there with a mistake, I think, down to P7 as Jura goes wide yet again. This could cost him the race, Tom.
Yeah, it's affecting about half the track now, according to the weather radar that we can see on the timing screen. And look at it, it's absolutely sodden on this half of the Mulsanne straight. It'll get drier throughout the second part of it, but the rain is going to play havoc and could cost a possible chance at victory here for Pol Jura. That one mistake, it was a couple of seconds or so. There's no inkling of a penalty. I don't think he gained or lost any time. Well, he didn't, certainly lost time, didn't gain any time in particular, but now we go on to the drier part of it, or dry-ish part of it, relatively speaking. So, oh, this is just tense times here for these drivers, isn't it?
The thing is, you would lose so much time pitting in and going to an intermediate tyre, anything like that, that it just would not be worth it. It wouldn't be worth doing.
Bisnelli and Struik have decided to not take that advice. They've gone on to the intermediate tyre.
It's just not worth it.
It wasn't a tyre compound that was available. I suppose they're hoping that the rain really comes down. But what have we got, a lap and a half remaining? I don't know, it doesn't look like it's coming down heavy enough for me.
I think of it this way, right? The fastest part of the circuit, the Porsche curves, is dry. Here's a replay of what happened to Guy Barber and Santos here.
Wait.
Oh, Santos just getting it all sorts of wrong. Kokibrun as well. Chaos reigning as the wet weather comes down. And Guy Barber just trying to survive getting through that. But, oh, wow. This has really thrown a spanner into the works for our drivers. You see down here at the bottom of the course, bone dry.
Yeah. Santos looked like me there trying to do a handbrake turn for the first time. That was phenomenal.
It looked like you on my first Gran Turismo earlier, actually.
Thank you very much. Thank you. 3-second penalty for Santos driving dangerously post-incident as well. So it goes from bad to worse there for the young Frenchman. Serrano, meanwhile, kept his calm, kept his cool. 2.5 seconds he now has over Pol Jura. He's commanding this one. The problem he's got here, Jimmy, we're now heading in towards the final part of the track, which we know is wet, but he is the first driver to tackle those conditions. He's the benchmark, so if he makes a mistake, Jura can kind of judge that given the distance that now sits between the two and just brake a few meters earlier.
Yep, I mean, that's the thing. Jura does have someone to sort of try it out for him, so to speak. So we'll see if that comes into play. There's only one lap, or a lap and a half left now as Guy Barber trying to find his way by Sasaki. The tyre advantage favouring Guy Barber as we come up towards the Porsche curves. Again, he'll want to try and get ahead before them, because if he gets stuck behind Sasaki going into these curves, it's really, really going to hamper. He'll get by here. On the inside goes Guy Barber, back up into 5th place there. Here's a replay of what happened to Pol Jura on the last lap, just getting caught out there just not able to slow the car down in time, having to go to the off track and slow down to avoid getting that penalty. But now we're going to see him try out again.
Gap's coming down to 2.2 seconds heading into that final sector. This is where we know the weather has come into the track as well. You're into the chicane. You can see it is affecting a lot more of the circuit than it was previous to this one. It's not particularly heavy in intensity, but it certainly is affecting the grip. We saw them tippy-toeing their way around here, and well, these drivers are going to be on the edge of their seat as we now begin the final lap of racing here in the Toyota GR Cup. Jose Serrano gets a bit of a wiggle on. He's going to run deep, surely. He does. Down at the Dunlop chicane. Is it going to allow an opportunity for Ura to close up behind? Where is Paul Ura? He's going to be in the background there somewhere. The gap stays pretty constant between the two, but that's exactly what I was talking about. Serrano is the guinea pig in this whole affair. He's got to tackle these conditions first of all, and he made a mistake.
Mistake for Lopez too there. Remember, 0 ABS on these things, so super easy just to lock a tie. See, almost crawling through the sector now. Gets to Touch Rouge, really nice and easy, just soft on the throttle, and Serrano just about survives that first sector. But oh my word, he came close to his own demise there. Ura does manage to close the gap ever so slightly, but not quite enough to hop into the toe there. But you see the circuit's still wet down here. Now keep in mind, boys, it's going to be cold down here. Those tyres are going to be cold, so the braking zone down towards the first chicane might not be in the same place it was last lap.
Well, the gap's staying pretty consistent between those top two at the moment. Let's have another look at what happened here. This is Alex Lopez.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's very deep. That's very deep indeed, down towards the Dunlop chicane, and that allowed Guy Barbara to close up as well. So Saki's managed to get up into fourth in all the drama that's been unfolding there as well. Lopez and Barbara dropping down to 6th and 7th place there respectively. So I wonder if those two had a bit of a coming together when Lopez rejoined on the track. Anyway, down into the dry part of the circuit, and Serrano doing a really good job, but for that mistake at the start of this final lap of just commanding this one quite comfortably at the moment.
What a race it's been for the Spanish drivers. I mean, Alex Lopez has dropped off a little bit there, but Serrano, Ura, Koke, amazing. Top three. I mean, these guys just showing why the Spanish GT community is one of the strongest in the world. Serrano out front, Paul Ura behind, Koke Lopez. So much experience between all these guys together, both online and at the event, and just showing the speed here in the Toyota GAZOO Racing GT Cup. Only half a lap to go. Paul Ura is gaining slightly though. Will he be able to get close enough to hop into that slipstream?
I tell you what, if it wasn't for that mistake that he made, earlier on, you wonder what might have been. He was very lucky to avoid a penalty for my money when he made his first pit stop, when he ran off the circuit as well. We come down this back straight and in towards Indianapolis, and Serrano doing, again, a superlative job through into this corner, but this is where we get in towards the wetter part of the track, and at the moment, it's a Spanish 1, 2, 3, but are they all going to bring it home? That's the crucial question, and for my money, I think it could be the first Spanish 1, 2, 3 that we've ever seen in the Toyota GT Cup.
Or any event, I think, at this point. But here we are, last time through the tricky section for Jose Serrano. Very little track now separates him from the the Toyota GAZOO Racing GT Cup Championship. Through then into the right-hander for the first time. The track there slightly slippery, but manages to navigate it well. Just a few more corners to go for Jose Serrano. Paul Ura, I don't think he's got enough time, Tom.
No, not unless Serrano makes a mistake, but it's squeaky bum time here for Jose Serrano as he makes his way through these cascading, sweeping corners. The aerodynamic and mechanical grip helping him out quite nicely. And Jose Serrano, what can we say about him? We're running out of superlatives. It has been a quite brilliant race for the young Spaniard as he now comes through the final corner and across the line to become the 2024 Toyota GAZOO Racing GT Cup champion, ahead of Paul Ura and Koke Lopez, who will bring it home with a Spanish 1, 2, 3 here in Amsterdam for the World Finals. Absolutely fantastic. They've had everything thrown at them in this race, and they have controlled it absolutely perfectly.
And what a victory for the Spanish Gran Turismo community. I think, and don't quote me on this, that is the first time that we've had 3 Spanish people on the podium at once. Complete lockout. No one else got anywhere near close, and that'll mean a lot to those guys down there. But Jose Serrano proving victorious over his countrymen. A great race, very well executed, and cool and calm and collected when it got a little bit sketchy in that first sector with the weather. That's how you do it.
Superb job then from Jose Serrano. And the other competitors there watching on here in Amsterdam, and to the applause of the crowd, Paul Ura it'll feel a bit sore for him for a few minutes while he sees his compatriot taking the victory and indeed the title away from him. Let's have a look at highlights then from that race. It had it all, didn't it, really? Jose Serrano led Pol Jura and Coque Lopez. Jura going for the hard tyre in the opening stages of that race. This was Adriano Carrazza dive-bombing his way into the side of Antonio Santos down at the first turn. And you can see how frustrated the Brazilian was at that particular point. This is Coquelin also picking up a penalty, and this unfortunately defined Coquelin's race. He ran off wide at the pit entry, picked up a penalty for his troubles as Jura got the better of Lopez at the halfway stage in this one. Then the rain came to play, and Jose Serrano, whilst he was on the hard tyre, managed to build out enough of a cushion over Jura at this particular stage in the race and just kept it calm and consistent from there on in, really, especially when they made their final pit stops.
Yeah, we thought for a while that Suzuki might be in contention here, but just wasn't quite quick enough on those first couple of stints, and it was Serrano, Jura and Lopez who would turn out to be out front there. Suzuki there really giving it his all on his in now, but it wouldn't quite be enough for the Japanese driver. But at this point the rain really starting to come down, and we saw our first few mistakes here from our drivers. Serrano doing well through that first sector, but Jura just couldn't quite get the car slowed down. Then this happened. Santos, all sorts of backwards in there, and Kokeban too, someone with massive experience, is not able to handle those wet conditions.
Yep, spinning around like a tabletop, weren't they, at that point? This is Serrano making a mistake at the start of the final lap, just locked the rears going into the Dunlop chicane. Managed to gather it up though, didn't lose any time relative to Pol Jura as well. It came through to take a commanding victory and indeed the Toyota GR GT Cup title of 2024. Let's head down to Jules and catch up with our champion.
Yes, I'm down here with the winner, Jose Serrano. Jose, how was that for you? You seem a little bit stressed.
Yeah, I'm happy, but it's very tough, especially to the last two laps. Was incredible.
I mean, the weather, obviously you were having to go first and you were basically testing it out for everyone behind. How was those last two laps with the weather?
Yeah, it was...
By the way, it's just like, you know what, let me just relax for a minute. It's been quite a stressful day.
I'm very happy.
But how did you keep it together? Because you were right out in front, you kept your cool all the way through. You didn't really make any mistakes apart from that one teeny tiny little one in the wet.
I was calm with the rain, and calm. Yeah.
Just
really.
keep it calm. You're stressed now.
Yeah.
Calm then. And I know it's not the Nations Cup today, but are you feeling kind of quite proud? It's all Spanish. 1, 2, 3.
It's a special moment for the three drivers, because last year we won the same place. Yeah. You know.
Yeah. Well, you did amazingly well. Let's give it up for Jose Serrano. Back to you, Tom and Jimmy.
Yeah, thank you, Jules. Thank you to Jose Serrano, who as well, I must commend him. He's improving his English very, very well. And he takes top honours here in the Toyota Gazoo Racing GT Cup by 2.3 seconds over Pol Jura. Coque Lopez making it a Spanish 1, 2, 3. Takuma Sasaki, well, he had a half chance, didn't he, at one particular point, but the hard tyres really costing him dear in terms of pace at the end of that one. Alex Lopez unlucky to finish down in 5th place, given his positions where he was earlier on in this one. Carrazza finishing inside the top 6 ahead of Barbara, Rama, Kokeman and Santos completing the top 10. Busnelli and Struik, they decided to gamble, go on to the intermediate tyres at the end of that race. They had nothing to lose, really, but unfortunately it didn't pay off for them. They finished quite a way off the rest of the field. Anyway, Jose Serrano, what can we say about him? That was just perfect, wasn't it? Really worked out nicely. But for that mistake on the final lap, he didn't put a wheel wrong. Yeah,
I mean, what he said about just trying to keep calm is basically the name of the game, because you make a mistake there, it can compound itself very quickly. Get a bit sideways, oh no, I've got a brake, you lock the brakes, and before you know it, you're having a Santos moment, which is not the one. But yeah, I think it just shows maturity, and driving in those conditions with slick tyres, it is so difficult, and especially when you have no idea what the track's going to be like, and you're trying to lead, trying to push from the guy behind you. It's super stressful, but handled like a pro by Serrano.
Anyway, let's get the podium celebrations then underway, shall we, here in Amsterdam for the Toyota GR GT Cup. Please welcome, in 3rd place in the Toyota Gazoo Racing GT Cup from Spain, it's Coque Lopez. Second place in the Toyota Gazoo Racing GT Cup, Pol Jura. and give it your all for the 2024 Toyota Gazoo Racing GT Cup Champion of the World from Spain, it's Jose Serrano! And now, ladies and gentlemen, please stand if you're able for the national anthem of Spain. The national anthem of Spain plays out for the winner of the Toyota Gazoo Racing GT Cup, Jose Serrano. And indeed for our top three finishers, an all-Spanish podium here in Amsterdam. Now it's time for the prizes to be presented to our top three finishers. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Toyota Gazoo Racing Team Principal Kamui Kobayashi. He makes his way onto the stage here in Amsterdam. He will first take the third place trophy, and it will be awarded to Spain's Coque Lopez. And now the second place trophy, also awarded to a driver from Spain. Give it up for Paul Ura. And finally, the winner's trophy, awarded to the 2024 Toyota GR GT Cup champion. Give it up for Paul Ura! Jose Serrano, the 2024 Toyota Gazoo Racing GT Cup champion, crowned here in Amsterdam. Well, Jose Serrano crowned as the 2024 Toyota Gazoo Racing GT Cup champion. My apologies, by the way, for the misinformation when we were awarding that podium just a few moments ago. Got confused. It's been a long day.
British bias, shaking my head. Yeah, no, but yeah, amazing for Serrano. I mean, we know how quick the guy is, just showing it once again, and to have a full, complete Spanish podium, first time ever in a GT live event, and just goes to show how strong that community is.
Yeah, it really has been fantastic. And of course, it's not over here today as well. Nope. We've got the Manufacturers' Cup coming up later on here tonight. I'm looking forward to that and to seeing what is going to happen. And of course, we've got more champions to crown here this weekend as well. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm going to go smash several caffeinated beverage, which is I can't mention the name of live on screen, so we can be ready for that one. But yeah, we've got Manufacturers' Cup later, Nations Cup tomorrow as well. Lots to come still here in the GT series here in Amsterdam. Absolutely, yeah, and as we said, lots of racing coming up along the way here later on tonight. Have a look at this to see what we've got in store for you.
It's a drag to the line in the Manufacturers' Cup. Fantastic!
We're coming towards the final series of corners. Wow, what a dramatic end!
Wow, yes, it's been an incredible bit of racing there. Full Spanish. Is that like the full English different? Full English.
Full
Spanish. We had all the Spanish that we need. That was pretty great. What, did you enjoy that?
Yeah, I love just the race directors. Oh, let's just make it wet for no reason. Deal with it.
Come on, Serrano, just to give it a test as you go by. Do you enjoy that, Tom?
I did, yeah. Really, really good job. Amazing from Jose Serrano. He controlled that one, didn't he, from lights out to checkered flag. The only sort of blot on his copybook was that mistake he made on the final lap. But it didn't affect it at all, did it, really?
And that's all that matters. I mean, if you can make a mistake and get away with it, Tom, then that's what you need to know, really.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, you know, that's what happens when you have a full English. Right, we have got the Manufacturers' Cup coming up next, so please don't go anywhere. We'll see you very, very soon. Bye. I actually wasn't talking.
Yeah, well.
Fast.